The Election Commission cracks the whip on BJP's Yogi Adityanath and BSP's Mayawati. Both are barred from campaigning for making provocative statements. The debate over electronic voting machines refuses to die down. Opposition parties want paper verification or VVPAT slips in at least 50% of the polling booths. On again, off again. The Congress-Aam Aadmi Party alliance talks go down to the wire. Rahul Gandhi and Arvind Kejriwal wash dirty linen on Twitter. The Supreme Court pulls up the Congress president for misquoting its Rafale verdict. Rahul Gandhi said the court had validated his charge of Chaukidar Chor hai. The BJP sued him for contempt. Trouble brews for Azam Khan. A day after his distasteful remarks against BJP's Jaya Prada, an FIR is filed against him. Jaya Prada says the Samajwadi Party leader should be barred from contesting the election. The election is upon us. It's another election week. The second phase of polling is barely 3 days away. Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of India Election Watch. I'm Palki Sharma Upadhyay, and this is the only show that gives you updates and analysis, clear, concise, to the point, without any twists and spins. We wrap up the election day in less than 30 minutes for you. Let's bring you up to speed with the biggest stories of the day. After dragging its feet for days, the Election Commission of India has finally stood up for rules. It has cracked the whip on two big names, Yogi Adityanath and Mayawati. One is the chief minister of the biggest state electorally, UP sends 80 seats. The other is the biggest Dalit leader, one of the biggest in India, and the chief of the Bahujan Samaj Party. They've both been barred from campaigning. A 3-day ban for Yogi, a 2-day ban for Mayawati. Their offence was serious, provocative, polarizing speeches. Yogi Adityanath is a repeat offender. Earlier this month, he was reprimanded for referring to the Indian Army as Modi ji ki Sena. Clearly, the warning did not impress him. Later in Meerut, he made the Ali Bajrang Bali statement.
कांग्रेस को अली पर, सपा बसपा को अली पर विश्वास है, हमें भी बजरंग बली पर विश्वास है.
Ali is a revered figure in Islam, while the Hindu god Hanuman is often referred to as Bajrang Bali. Yogi Adityanath was making a communal pitch there. Mayawati wasn't much better. She was speaking in Saharanpur this month at the first joint rally of the BSP-SP alliance. Do you know what she said there? She had a message for Muslim voters. Listen to what she said.
मेरा खासकर इस चुनाव में मुस्लिम समाज के लोगों को ये कहना है, आप लोगों को मैं ये सावधान करना चाहती हूँ और आप लोगों को भी मालूम है कि पूरे उत्तर प्रदेश में कांग्रेस पार्टी इस लायक नहीं है कि वो भारतीय जनता पार्टी को टक्कर दे सके. गठबंधन ही इस लायक है कि वो भारतीय जनता पार्टी को टक्कर दे सकता है.
The ban against these two leaders kicks in tomorrow at 6 a.m. They cannot hold any rallies or public meetings or even make a statement through the media or on social media. Ironically, this decision came on a day when the Election Commission itself was pulled up by the Supreme Court of India. The court said the Commission had failed to punish those who violate the Model Code of Conduct. The Commission, in its defense, said it had no powers to act against violators. But within 1 hour of this exchange in court, the Election Commission issued the order against Yogi Adityanath and Mayawati. Last week, it had seemed like the dust was finally settling on the prospect of a Congress-Aam Aadmi Party alliance. It did not look like it was going to happen, but it's not over yet. A Twitter war broke out between Rahul Gandhi and Arvind Kejriwal today. First, the Congress president blamed the Delhi chief minister for the breakdown in talks. He said that the Congress has offered up 4 seats in Delhi, but Kejriwal did another U-turn. Rahul Gandhi also added that their door is still open, but time was running out. Arvind Kejriwal retaliated within minutes. He said that the talks are still ongoing. He blamed Rahul Gandhi instead, saying that the Congress never intended to strike an alliance. He said that it's unfortunate that the Congress is splitting the anti-Modi vote. Last week, the Congress had wanted to go solo on all 7 seats in Delhi. It's a prestige battle, the national capital. For all these seats, electorally, Delhi does not amount to very much. It has only 7 seats, 7 lawmakers that it sends to the country's parliament. But Delhi represents India's political pulse, which is why both the major political parties want to win here, the BJP and the Congress. Consider this example. In 2014, It was a Modi wave election and the BJP candidates rode that wave. The party won all the 7 seats in Delhi. This time the Aam Aadmi Party wants to tie up with the Congress. It's desperate, but it seems like things aren't going the way they had planned. Meanwhile, Maneka Gandhi has done it again. During a rally in Uttar Pradesh, she told voters that she plans to grade villages on the basis of how many votes she gets. Accordingly, she said she will prioritize development work in the constituency.
क्योंकि हम हर दफा जीतते हैं, तो क्या मापदंड है कि हम एक गांव से ज्यादा करें और एक गांव के लिए कम? और मापदंड हमने ये रखा कि हम हर गांव में ABCD करेंगे। जिन गांव में 80% वोट मिला वो A है, जिसमें B मिला वो जिसमें 60% मिला वो B है, जिसमें 50% मिला वो C है, और जिसमें 50 से कम और हम हारे हैं वो D है। तो सबसे पहला काम होता है सारे A वालों का। जब A वालों का काम खत्म होता है तो B वालों में, फिर B वालों में खत्म होता है तो C वालों में। आप समझ गए? तो ये आपके ऊपर है, आप ABC करते और कोई D ना करे, कोई D ना करे, क्योंकि हम सब लोग अच्छा ही करने आते हैं।
This is not the first controversial statement that she's made. Just a few days ago, Maneka Gandhi had refused to help Muslim voters if they did not vote for her in Sultanpur. She was served a show cause notice for saying this.
मैं जीत रही हूँ, लोगों की मदद, लोगों की प्यार से मैं जीत रही हूँ। अगर मेरी जीत मुसलमानों के बिना होगी तो मुझे बहुत अच्छा नहीं लगेगा, क्योंकि इतना मैं बता देती हूँ कि फिर दिल खट्टा हो जाता है। फिर जब मन आता है काम के लिए, फिर मैं सोचती हूँ कि नहीं रहने ही दो, क्या फ़र्क पड़ता है। आखिर नौकरी सौदेबाजी भी तो होती है। बात सही है कि नहीं? ये नहीं कि हम लोग सब महात्मा गांधी के छठे औलाद हैं कि हम लोग आए केवल ही जाएंगे, देते ही जाएंगे और फिर इलेक्शन में मार खाते जाएंगे। सही है बात कि नहीं?
Maneka Gandhi is a member of parliament from Pilibhit. This time her son is contesting from that seat and she was campaigning for him today when she made that previous statement. She herself is fighting from Sultanpur. She is not the only BJP leader, we can tell you, who's been making such controversial statements. BJP MP from Unnao, Sakshi Maharaj, threatened to curse people last week if they did not vote for him. It was a difficult day for two leaders in particular, Mehbooba Mufti and Urmila Matondkar. They were targets of electoral violence. Mehbooba Mufti is a former Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir. Her convoy was attacked with stones. They hit one of the spare vehicles. The car was damaged and the driver was hurt. Others, including Mufti herself, were safe. She was returning from a shrine in Anantnag when this attack happened. She's contesting this election from Anantnag. That is her constituency. She won the same seat in 2014. The second target of the day was Urmila Matondkar. She's making her electoral debut for the Congress party this time. She was campaigning in a suburb in Mumbai. A fight broke out between Congress and BJP supporters. Later, Matondkar blamed the BJP for creating fear. She said that 15 to 20 BJP workers had attacked her supporters. She also sought protection from the Mumbai police, claiming that her life is under threat. In a separate, and may I add, absolutely unrelated case, Congress MP Shashi Tharoor was hurt while campaigning in Thiruvananthapuram. What was he doing? He was inside a temple. Shashi Tharoor was sitting on a weighing scale. Well, this is a ritual where a person is weighed against offerings like flowers, grains and fruit. This is an old ritual. All of this is later offered as donation. Tharoor sat on the scale, its hook came off and it hit his head. He was rushed to a hospital. He received 7 stitches. We wish him a speedy recovery. Our next story is about Samajwadi Party leader Azam Khan. Over the weekend, his sexist and derogatory remarks against the BJP's Jaya Prada shocked everyone.
हिंदुस्तान वालों, उसकी असलियत समझने में आपको 17 बरस लगे। मैं 17 दिन में पहचान गया कि इनके नीचे का जो अंडरवेयर है वो खाकी रंग का है।
Terrible statement that. What's more shocking is the fact that the statement was made in the presence of senior leaders of the Samajwadi Party, that's Azam Khan's party, including party chief Akhilesh Yadav himself. He was present there. No one objected. no one pulled up Azam Khan. But now the demand for action against him is growing. First, an FIR was filed against him. Then the National Commission for Women sent a notice to him. And Jaya Prada herself has responded to his shameful remarks.
तो मेरे लिए नई बात नहीं है. अगर आजम खान इस तरह का बयान नहीं देता है तो ये नई बात है. क्योंकि इससे पहले भी 2009 में हमें मॉक फोटोग्राफ्स ये सब जो है अश्लील चित्र बंटवाना और हमारे ऊपर टिप्पणी करना, हमें अभद्र शब्द इस्तेमाल करना, ये इनके लिए यही आदत है. तो आदत से ये मजबूर है.
Why did Azam Khan say what he did? For one, he has a track record, as Jaya Prada just said. Two, he is up against Jaya Prada in the Rampur constituency. Earlier, Jaya Prada had said that Azam Khan had harassed, threatened, even abused her. She has the support of many now, including External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj. In a tweet addressed to Mulayam Singh Yadav, Sushma Swaraj said this, and I'm quoting, "Brother Mulayam, you are the patriarch of the Samajwadi Party. The Draupadi of Rampur is being disrobed in front of you. Do not make the mistake of staying silent like Bhishma." Also tagged in this tweet are Akhilesh Yadav's wife Dimple Yadav and Samajwadi Party leader Jaya Bachchan. Azam Khan, though, shows no signs of mending his ways. Today, when questioned about this episode, he abused a journalist. Now, breaking news coming in on India Election Watch. After Yogi Adityanath and Mayawati, the Election Commission has censured 2 more senior politicians for their comments on Muslim voters. Union Minister Maneka Gandhi has been banned from campaigning for 48 hours. And Azam Khan is also facing action. He'll have to sit out for 72 hours for his comments against Jaya Prada. That is what the Election Commission has come up with, finally cracking the whip on these leaders. Amid all the political bickering, the campaigning has not slowed down. Let's bring you our rally roster for today, starting with Amit Shah, the BJP president. He was leading the party's campaign in his home state of Gujarat. He held 3 rallies in the state that sends 26 lawmakers to parliament. Rahul Gandhi was campaigning in Agra today. Uttar Pradesh has 80 seats. So far, the Congress is a distant third in that state. Priyanka Gandhi Vadra was in Amethi. That's her brother Rahul Gandhi's constituency. Rahul Gandhi's target was the Prime Minister. But today, his old statements backfired. The Supreme Court issued a notice to the Congress president. There's a BJP complaint pending in the Election Commission as well. But Rahul Gandhi has not changed his tone.
आपने कभी सोचा कि करोड़ों रुपए की पब्लिसिटी, पैसा कहां से आ रहा है? मैं आपको बताता हूं. भाइयों और बहनों, नरेंद्र मोदी ने आपका पैसा चोरी करके लाखों करोड़ रुपए चोरी करके इन चोरों को दिया है. पहले नारा हुआ करता था, अच्छे दिन आएंगे. याद है, मोदी जी कहते थे अच्छे दिन, जनता कहती थी आएंगे. बुरे दिन आ गए ना. अब नया नारा सुनो, चौकीदार चौकीदार चौकीदार.
The country's top court has pulled him up for saying that, for misquoting the court's Rafale verdict. Rahul Gandhi had claimed last week that the Supreme Court had validated his charges against Modi and that the court had accepted that Chaukidar chor hai. The court has asked Rahul Gandhi to explain that statement. The BJP has sued him for contempt.
The BJP demands the Election Commission takes a serious cognizance of this statement of Rahul Gandhi. But this comment on the 10th of April was made after filing his nomination, when the model code of conduct is on. Therefore, all the do's and don'ts of model code of conduct are equally applicable to Rahul Gandhi.
Priyanka Gandhi Vadra was also in action today. She accused the BJP of spreading lies.
अगर आप राष्ट्रवादी हैं तो चुनाव के समय पाकिस्तान की नहीं, हिंदुस्तान की बात करिए. हिंदुस्तान के नौजवानों को बताइए आप उनके लिए क्या करने जा रहे हैं. हिंदुस्तान की महिलाओं को बताइए कि आप उनके लिए क्या करने जा रहे हैं. हिंदुस्तान के किसानों के लिए कहिए कि आपने कौन सी योजना बनाई है. गरीबों के लिए बताइए आप उनके लिए क्या करेंगे.
Know your candidate. Today we tell you about Sushmita Dev, a next-gen Congress leader and president of the All India Mahila Congress. Sushmita Dev is a sitting MP of the Lok Sabha. She represents the Silchar Lok Sabha seat in Assam. She is defending this seat in this election. And she's an important face for her party. Both Congress President Rahul Gandhi and General Secretary Priyanka Gandhi have campaigned for Sushmita Dev. In fact, Priyanka Gandhi compared her to Indira Gandhi. Sushmita Dev is 46 years old. She's a fourth-generation Congress member. Her father, Santosh Mohan Dev, was a cabinet minister. In the last election, she won by a margin of 35,000 votes. It was a multi-pronged battle then. This time, she's fighting the BJP's Rajdeep Roy, and it's a two-way battle. The stakes are high. This one is expected to go close. Dev is being seen as a favourite, but the margins are thin. So how did she perform in the 16th Lok Sabha? Very well. She has been a very active parliamentarian. Her attendance was 80%, at par with the national average. She's participated in 85 debates, significantly higher than the national and state averages. Sushmita Dev has asked 318 questions, again well above the averages. And she moved 3 private member bills in this Lok Sabha. Now the questions that Sushmita Dev raised are very relevant. There were questions on subjects like applicants for citizenship, information on job losses, status of government schemes in Assam, autonomy of the Reserve Bank of India, triple talaq, the impact of demonetization on farmers. You see the pattern there. Issues which touch the people directly were raised by her. She is one of the young leaders that the Congress party has banked on to revive its fortunes in 2019. Sushmita Dev is an advocate by profession. Her challenges include anti-incumbency and countering the BJP's gains from welfare schemes. The BJP, remember, launched programs to benefit tea garden workers in her constituency. Silchar will vote on Thursday in the second phase of this election, and this will be a battle worth tracking. Frequently asked question. Today's subject is Mayawati. She scored a 0 in the 2014 Lok Sabha election, not a single MP. Just 19 seats in the 2017 Uttar Pradesh Assembly election. Very poor performance for a state leader. And yet, she seems to be calling the shots. She is dictating terms to allies. What then is working for Mayawati? What is her draw? Over the last few months, she has been aggressive and unsparing. She openly rejected the Congress's offer to leave 7 seats for the Grand Alliance. She accused both the Congress and the BJP of corruption on Bofors and Rafale. Her own record is another story altogether, but that did not stop Mayawati. She's accusing others of being corrupt. She then said that there was no difference between the manifestos of the Congress and the BJP, and she is getting away with everything. Nobody is hitting back at her. Nobody is targeting her. Why is that? Why is every party cutting slack when it comes to the BSP chief? There are several reasons. The first one is that they fear a fractured mandate. If both the Congress and the BJP fail to get the majority mark, which is quite a possibility, Mayawati may well hold the trump card. She is more national than most regional players. Recent assembly elections in the Hindi heartland bear this out. Mayawati got a sizable vote share in many states. This time she's expected to build on it. So she may come in handy for either party. 10 years ago, remember, Mayawati's BSP was part of a failed alliance, the UNPA, the United National Progressive Alliance. It was a loose tie-up of many regional parties and the left. This alliance together got 109 seats in the 2009 election. But after the election, Mayawati decided to go with the Congress. She gave outside support to the UPA government. This event is a significant marker. And that is something that both the Congress and the BJP seem to be counting on. Reason number 2, slamming Mayawati might upset the SC/ST vote bank. There is a belief that Dalits tend to vote for her in overwhelming numbers. She appeals to their pride, she projects herself as their mascot, and she harbors national ambitions. Reason number 3, she's moved beyond North India now. She started her campaign in Andhra Pradesh. She's joined hands with actor-turned-politician Pawan Kalyan in that state. That coalition may bring her a seat or 2. And she's run her campaign strategically. She's lambasted both the Congress and the BJP in equal measure to keep her options of a post-poll alliance open. In this process, Mayawati has polarized their votes further while seeking to consolidate the Dalit vote. Now, if the anti-BJP vote does not get fragmented in this election, the BSP stands a good chance to win a bulk of seats in Uttar Pradesh alone, and it's a very important state. It doesn't end there. To win elections, what is the one thing that you absolutely need? It is money. and Mayawati's party has loads of it. According to official records, the party, the BSP, with the biggest bank balance is the BSP, the Bahujan Samaj Party. They have 670 crore rupees. Plus, they have declared more than 95 lakh rupees as cash in hand. So they're flush with funds to fight elections. To cut a long story short, Mayawati is poised to be kingmaker. That should be very good for someone who has 0 seats in the current Lok Sabha, but that's not enough for Mayawati. She wants to be Prime Minister, not kingmaker. What should have been an election for her survival is turning into a battle she's scripting. No party is taking on her. The Samajwadi Party was once her biggest rival, now they're allies, and Akhilesh Yadav seems to be towing her line. The Congress, which faces her daily attacks, has said that they're open to a post-poll tie-up. And the BJP's criticism has been inconsistent. While leaders in UP are slamming Mayawati, the national leaders have not targeted her. They're steering clear of the BSP chief. The BJP is fighting the SP-BSP-RLD alliance in the most important battle, the battle for Uttar Pradesh. Mayawati could be the difference between victory and defeat for the national parties, and they know it. Did you know? A segment where we tell you things we assume you probably do not know. Here's what we have for you today. What happens when you go to a polling station only to find that someone else has cast your vote? It happens more often than we care to acknowledge. Not just to people like you and me, but also to some very prominent personalities. So what can they do in such a situation? What can you do? Can you still exercise your franchise? Can you still cast your vote? The answer is yes. Thanks to 49P. What is 49P? It's a section under the election rules. It has a provision. 49P has a provision for a citizen to vote even when his or her vote has been cast by someone else by mistake or by mischief. This is what you have to do if someone else has cast your vote. You first have to prove your identity to the presiding officer of the polling booth. Once that is done, you write your name in Form 17B. Step number 3, you will then be provided with a tendered ballot paper. Then you go to the voting compartment, you choose the candidate, you fold that ballot paper and you give it to the presiding officer. Such ballots are called tendered votes. They are locked and sealed and they're not taken into consideration if all goes well. They're accounted for only if the margin of votes between candidates is very thin. So do they even matter? Do tendered ballots matter? Sometimes they can tilt the scales. Like they did 11 years ago in Rajasthan. It was the 2008 assembly election in the state. C.P. Joshi was then union minister. He lost to the BJP's Kalyan Singh Chauhan by 1 vote. Joshi moved the Rajasthan High Court. He wanted the tendered votes to be counted. The process took years. 4 years later, this matter landed up in the Supreme Court. A recount was ordered in which tendered votes were included. The result was a tie. According to India's election rules, if the elections are tied, then a draw of lots is used to decide the winner. Kalyan Singh Chauhan won that as well and he was declared the winner. The provision has already been used this time in the 2019 election in the first phase last week. A 19-year-old first-time voter in Andhra Pradesh has invoked Section 49P to cast her vote. But this may just be the beginning. Interestingly, some recent regional language movies have highlighted the provision of 49P. And while we're on the subject, let's discuss another interesting section. It's called 49A, Rule 49O. This has been invalidated, but this rule was still used until 2013. It allowed a voter to not cast his or her vote, but also record the fact. And this is different from Nota. So you decide you will not cast your vote, you will go there and you will register that. The Supreme Court in 2013 found that this rule was incompatible with the Indian Constitution. It was scrapped and then Nota was introduced subsequently. But remember this, before you cast a tendered vote, you have to be in the electoral rolls. If your name is not in the electoral rolls of a particular polling station, then there's frankly nothing that can be done for you at this point. With that, it's a wrap on this episode of India Election Watch, but a very exciting week has just begun. Lots more news expected in the days ahead. Keep watching us and keep sending us your feedback with the hashtag India Election Watch. See you at the same time tomorrow. Thanks for watching.